Hi, it's Katrina. Are we on the brink of uncovering secrets that defy all logic? Some shocking discoveries have baffled experts and sparked intense debate within the scientific community. We have a pyramid that might not be a pyramid, a coin from a parallel universe, and caves dug by mysterious ancient creatures. So get ready to challenge what we thought we knew. The Impossible Pyramid. In October of 2023, archaeologists made headlines by claiming that a mysterious structure was a super ancient pyramid. Located in Java, Indonesia, this pyramid has led to some huge controversy. Known as Gunung Padang, geologist Danny Hillman and his colleagues say this is not your average hill. They claim that it is a multi-layered prehistoric pyramid that is older than the pyramids of Giza in Egypt. Danny says that Gunung Padang is actually a step pyramid with 5 different layers. He also says that the current estimates for the age of the pyramid are wrong. Instead of dating to 5000 BC, he claims that his pyramid is much older. He says this hidden pyramid could be 27,000 years old. Are you surprised yet? If Danny's estimates are correct, the pyramid in Indonesia is the oldest pyramid in the world. But of course, some doubt this claim. They are poking holes in this theory faster than you can say stone tools, which is what the builders of the pyramids would have used if it was built in 25,000 BC. Archaeologist Flint Dibble, which is honestly the coolest name I've ever heard for an archaeologist, thinks that the alleged terraces of Gunung Padang weren't carefully carved by ancient architects. Instead, he believes that the pyramid owes its shape to a bit of weathering, or rocks rolling down the hill. The Netflix docuseries Ancient Apocalypse explored the theory. It was directed by British writer Graham Hancock, who is known for some incredible controversial things in the world of archaeology. In the show, Hancock agrees with Danny and even reveals that he was involved in the study. He said that they used radiocarbon dating and ground-penetrating radar to confirm the age of Gunung Padang. In his docuseries, Hancock claimed that builders of the pyramid must have possessed remarkable masonry capabilities, which doesn't exactly align with the traditional assumptions regarding hunter-gatherer cultures. The whole point is that they weren't technologically advanced. They were just hunting and gathering. To make things even more strange, Danny and Hancock believe that 9,000 years ago, the whole pyramid was intentionally buried. Other sites around the globe have been buried in the past, like the famous Göbekli Tepe site in Turkey, which dates back 11,000 years. But we don't have to go back that far. Hiding under the earth is also the Great Pyramid of Cholula in Mexico. This pyramid is deemed the largest monument ever built on Earth, with a base 4 times larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza, and it's hidden underground as well. But why on earth would a civilization choose to bury an entire pyramid, which likely took years of back-breaking work to construct? Well, Hancock has an answer for this question. He believes that Gunung Padang and other sites were buried on purpose to act as time capsules of sorts for future generations. We bury books and pictures in our time capsules today, but thousands of years ago, they were burying entire pyramids, allegedly. You may be wondering, have scientists tested any soil samples? Yep, and guess what? The samples dated back 27,000 years, perfectly aligning with Danny's theory. But one thing about the study didn't sit well with mainstream archaeologists. The soil samples did not contain any traces of human activity. You know, like bone fragments, throwing a wrench into the mix. Without any signs of human habitation in the past, it's hard to say if this was really a site built by an ancient civilization. So, what's the truth here? Archaeological Prospection, the journal that published the study, is launching an investigation to find out once and for all. Danny has been a good sport about all of this, and he welcomes the scrutiny. But he truly believes that no evidence will come to light that will disprove his theory. Whether Gunung Padang is a mind-blowing ancient wonder or just another interesting hill remains to be seen. For now, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. And now for number 9, but first, it's shout-out time! Big thank you to Nancy Seaman for the generous super thanks. Thank you so much for your support and for spending time with us. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe and join us. Mega tunnels in the Amazon. Deep in Brazil, hidden under the trees of the Amazon rainforest, lies a mystery that has puzzled scientists for years. Strange, huge tunnels that are so big, they seem to defy all logic. The journey into this realm of subterranean wonders began in 2010. That's when Amilcar Adami, a geologist with the Brazilian Geological Survey, embarked on a routine survey of the Amazonian state of Rondônia. Rumors emerged of an extraordinary cave hidden amidst the rugged landscape of southern Brazil. Adami was intrigued, so he set out to find it. Little did he know that his expedition would lead him to the brink of discovery. After navigating through dense foliage and rugged terrain, Adami stumbled upon a gaping hole on a wooded slope just a few miles north of the Bolivian border. And the sight that greeted him was not like anything he had ever encountered. Unlike the familiar caves formed by the erosive forces of water, this cavern was strangely symmetrical, and its interior was perfectly smooth. It didn't look natural, it looked like someone built it on purpose. Meanwhile, about 1,700 miles away, another geologist named Heinrich Frank made a chance discovery in Novo Hamburgo, Brazil. He encountered a peculiar cave during a routine drive. Baffled by his find, Frank returned to the site weeks later and ventured into the depths of the cave. What he encountered defied all explanation. A tunnel stretched 15 feet before him. Its walls were covered with strange claw marks, as if etched by some prehistoric creature. Frank was confused, to say the least, so he leaned deeper into the mystery. Eventually, he concluded that these were no ordinary caves. According to him, they were paleoburrows, which are ancient tunnels excavated by long-extinct megafauna, or large animals. The discovery of paleoburrows sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Until then, hardly any burrows attributed to extinct megafauna had been described in scientific literature, and yet the unexpected discovery in Novo Hamburgo led to many more exciting finds. While examining a 45-mile section of highway construction near the city of Porto Alegre, Frank and his team found paleoburrows in over 70% of the road cuts they studied. These subterranean passages came in all shapes and sizes. Some were simple caves, while others were like intricate mazes, with branching tunnels that twisted and turned. The largest of these burrows stretched hundreds of feet, and a person could easily walk through them normally with room to spare. That's how big they were. So what made these ancient architectural wonders? Frank thinks that they were most likely made by giant ground sloths, or maybe even massive armadillos. These giant ground sloths could be as large as elephants with huge claws that they used to carve out the dirt. But it's hard to believe an animal made these just because of how big and complex they are. As experts went even deeper into the earth, they uncovered more questions than answers. How did the animals make these? Also, how old were they? Dating these burrows was a challenge. Amilcar Adami said this wasn't made by one or two individuals. It was made by many over generations. Based on when giant ground sloths went extinct, about 9,500 years ago, the burrows have to be at least 10,000 years old. Exactly when they were dug, however, remains a mystery. Are you impressed that an animal made these tunnels? Let me know in the comments below. Red Sea death pools. If you decided to dive into the deepest and darkest waters of the ocean, you would undoubtedly encounter some eerie sights. From creepy anglerfish lurking in the shadows to ginormous underwater volcanoes, the ocean floor holds many mysteries. And the bottom of the Red Sea, which sits between Africa and the Arabian Peninsula, is no different. The Red Sea is famous for its periodic algal blooms, which sometimes makes the water appear deep orange-red. It's also home to 1,200 species of fish, including a whopping 44 species of shark. About 20% of these fish can only be found in the Red Sea, making it a paradise for divers looking to see creatures they have never seen before. But these waters become less friendly the further down you go. In fact, the water becomes downright treacherous. Recently, scientists sent divers and probes into the depths of the Red Sea. It was breathtakingly beautiful, but they also uncovered a chilling discovery: death pools. What in the world are death pools? Well, they're exactly what their name implies. At the bottom of the Red Sea, researchers found pockets of water that contain no oxygen whatsoever. This was unbelievable, as it's nearly impossible for any living organism to survive in such conditions. Yet these underwater pockets, or death pools, were full of life. Marine predators dwell within these seemingly uninhabitable zones, waiting for creatures to wander into these traps of nature. As fish make the mistake of entering these oxygen-free pockets, they become stunned, making them an easy meal for opportunistic predators. Finding one of these death pools may sound like a grim and depressing discovery, but scientists were absolutely thrilled. Why? Because the death pools are extremely similar to some environments that were more common on Earth many years ago. Sam Perkis from the Department of Marine Geosciences at the University of Miami said that our current understanding suggests that life originated on Earth in the deep sea, likely in oxygen-deprived conditions. Researching this community provides insights into the conditions where life initially arose on our planet. It could also potentially aid in the quest for life on other water-rich planets within our solar system and beyond. The discovery is a fantastic opportunity to study a biome that is typically quite challenging. The sediment in these death pools remains perfectly preserved because there aren't many small animals that can live inside them. Normally, these fish stir up the seabed, mucking up the water and messing up the sediment. But because this doesn't happen in death pools, a lot can be learned from them. The coin from a parallel universe. Have you ever thought about the idea that there might be other versions of our world, like a parallel universe, where things might be a little different or completely strange? Scientists have been thinking about this idea for a long time and are exploring theories like string theory. This theory suggests that we live in a multiverse with dimensions beyond what we can see. But no evidence has been found to prove this theory, right? Well, not exactly. In April 2018, a video was posted online by a man named Diego Aviles. In the video, Diego showed off a peculiar coin that he claimed was from a parallel universe. But what proof did he have that such a thing was even possible? The coin bore the symbols of the Nazi Party, accompanied by the words Nueva Alemania, or New Germany. And you know how every coin has the year it was minted on it? Well, this one said that it was minted in the year 2039. Diego claimed that he found the mysterious coin as he was working a construction job in Mexico. He thought he had stumbled upon a Reichsmark coin, which was the currency of Germany from 1924 to 1945. But when he saw the year 2039, he didn't know what to think. Diego showed his audience that above the imprinted year was the Reichsadler Nazi Party symbol, an eagle resting on top of a swastika. The other side of the coin features the phrase which translates to "all in one nation" in English. This motto would be fitting for a nation that has achieved global domination, and given the fact that Hitler wanted to do just that, it could be possible that in a parallel universe, he got what he wanted. In Mexico, there is a state that's called Nueva Alemania, which is New Germany. It's situated in the municipality of La Concordia in the state of Chiapas. However, there is no record of any Nazi currency arriving in Mexico. Diego's video quickly went viral online. Ever since then, conspiracy theorists have claimed that this Nazi coin from the future is solid proof that parallel universes exist. Some have argued that Germany might be a key player once World War III rolls around, and that maybe some existing groups of Nazis have already started minting coins. These same people also claim that Nazis are secretly living in Antarctica, so it's hard to know what to believe. Others, like Diego, think that the coin comes from an alternative future where the Nazis conquered the world. They then developed time travel, and to test their machines, they sent coins back to the past, to our reality. So, what gives? Is this thing really from a parallel universe? Scientists claim that there is no way to tell if the year 2039 is really printed on the coin, at least not with the pictures Diego provided in his video. The number 39 can easily be read, but some think it could actually say 1939. And this would better align with the minting of the silver 2 Reichsmark and the 5 Reichsmark coins, which were only issued between 1938 and 1939. It's an interesting story and a fun theory to play with, but it's up to you to decide what you think about the coin. The science of sound. The mystery of sound lies in its ability to move us in ways we often don't fully understand. Imagine a spooky Halloween movie where the eerie music makes your heart race, or those moments when you hear a song and suddenly feel calm and relaxed, or the fun songs that make you burst out singing in the car. Sound has a power over our emotions and even our bodies. Composers and sound engineers have been studying this for years. They have found that certain chords and frequencies can evoke specific feelings. A minor chord might make you feel sad, while a major chord can uplift your spirits. Have you ever noticed how repetitive rhythms can slow down your breathing and heart rate? That's because of something called entrainment, where your body syncs up with the beat. But sound isn't just about emotions, it's also about science. Researchers are discovering how sound frequencies affect our brains. Think of frequencies as the number of times a sound wave repeats itself in 1 second. Different frequencies can mimic the brain's electrical activity, influencing our thoughts and feelings. For example, there's something called the Schumann frequency, which occurs at 7.8 Hz. It's believed to put our brains in a flow state, making us more focused and productive. And then there is the theta frequency range between 4 and 7 Hz, which can reduce anxiety and promote a sense of well-being. But perhaps the most mind-blowing discovery is the impact of sound on our DNA. Scientists have found that some sound frequencies can actually affect our genetic makeup. For instance, experiments with the solfeggio frequency, 528 Hz, showed healing effects on DNA. Different genres of music had varying effects, with Sanskrit mantras and Gregorian chants having the most positive impact. This research opens up a world of possibilities for the future of sound. Imagine using sound to improve our health, enhance our work environments, or even repair our DNA. As we continue to unravel the mysteries of sound, we're sure to discover even more incredible applications that could change the way we experience the world. What's your favorite song or sound? How does it make you feel? Let me know in the comments. The Martian fossil. Was there ever life on Mars? In 1995, two NASA scientists, David McKay and Everett Gibson, made a bizarre discovery in their Houston lab. Using a powerful microscope, they zoomed in on a tiny piece of rock from Mars and found something incredible: microscopic structures that looked as though they could have been made by living organisms. This wasn't the first time scientists had claimed to find signs of life on Mars, but it was one of the most controversial. The rock, known as ALH 84001, had been blasted from the Martian surface millions of years ago. Then it landed on Earth thousands of years ago. McKay and Gibson spent months studying it, trying to figure out if what they were seeing was real. Their findings sparked a huge debate in the scientific community. Some experts argued that the structures could have been formed by non-biological processes, while others believed they were evidence of ancient Martian life. Even today, scientists are still arguing about what it all means. One of the most intriguing parts of the discovery was the shape of tiny magnetite crystals found in the rock. Magnetite is a mineral that's often produced by bacteria on Earth, so finding it on Mars seemed like a big deal. But not everyone was convinced. Some scientists thought that the crystals could have formed without any help from living organisms. Despite the controversy, the discovery of ALH blah 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 has had a lasting impact on our understanding of Mars and the search for life beyond Earth. It's forced scientists to think more carefully about what constitutes life and how we can find it on other planets. It's also inspired new missions to Mars, like the one that launched in 2020. NASA's Perseverance rover is currently scouring the red planet, searching for signs of ancient life. So, even though we still don't have all the answers, ALH has brought us one step closer to solving one of the biggest mysteries of all. Is there life on other planets? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. The Skeleton Lake Enigma. In 1942, a forest official named H.K. Madwall stumbled upon something disturbing in the Himalayas: hundreds of human skeletons around Rupkund Lake. He reported the discovery and excavations began. In the end, it was said that between 300 to 800 people all met their tragic end in or around the lake. The find wasn't announced to the public until the late 1950s, sparking questions and investigations that continue to this day. Nobody can agree on what happened here, but listen to this and then tell me your thoughts in the comments. There is a hiking trail that leads right to Rupkund Lake. It winds through the Himalayan peaks, eventually bringing travelers to a ridge called Junargali. This knife-edge-like ridge is the highest point along the trail, situated at a height of 16,400 feet, and 650 feet below is the mysterious body of water, which has been nicknamed Skeleton Lake, for obvious reasons. At first, researchers believed that the skeletons belonged to Tibetan traders or Japanese soldiers who traveled along the Silk Road and died. They thought these travelers either died due to exposure or perhaps even a plague. But in 2004, forensic evidence offered a new theory. This dangerous journey was taken by pilgrims from India in the 9th century every 12 years, and pilgrims still do it today. The strangest thing was that almost all of the skeletons showed signs of injuries. They clearly didn't die from starvation, so were they all attacked? There were no weapons found at the site, but what scientists did find were fragments of musical instruments. In 2010, scientists sequenced the first ancient human genome, changing how we learn about history. This breakthrough led to a fresh look at the Skeleton Lake mystery and changed everything. Researchers sent 38 powdered bone samples from skeletons stored in India to labs worldwide for analysis. And after 5 years of study, the results published in 2019 shocked everyone. The researchers discovered that the 38 skeletons belonged to 3 different genetic groups and were placed at the lake over a span of 1,000 years. What in the world? One group was from South Asia, and their bones were left at the lake between the 7th and 10th centuries. Another group had origins in the Eastern Mediterranean, specifically from the island of Crete, and they died in a single event during the 19th century. There was also one sample with origins in Southeast Asia, also from the 19th century. So, these were different groups of people from different times and different parts of the world all coming to Rupkund Lake. And how did they die? Their injuries were consistent with getting hit by large rocks, most likely hail that fell from the sky, and they had nowhere to go. The discovery that people from places other than India were found at Rupkund Lake was a big surprise. What were they all doing here? 80 years later, scientists still can't seem to figure it out. If you have any theories, please let me know. The secrets of Magnetic Hill. There is a mountain in Australia where gravity doesn't seem to work. People have been scratching their heads about Lutz Mountain since the 1800s. It's a magical place where people's cars are pulled uphill by some invisible force, even if their foot is off the gas pedal. For this reason, the mountain has come to be known as Magnetic Hill. Located about 4 miles from Black Rock, this place has become a popular tourist attraction. Visitors approaching the hill are instructed by signs to turn off their vehicle's ignition and put it in neutral. They are also told to keep their foot off the pedals and let the mountain work its magic. But for some strange reason, the site affects certain cars differently. If you're in an aluminum car, you'll roll downhill. If you're in a steel vehicle, you'll roll uphill. So why does gravity seem to work in reverse here? Many theories about the hill have emerged over the years. At the base of the mountain, there is a giant magnet that is staked into the ground. Some people believe that the magnet is responsible for the bizarre phenomenon, but others think that the whole place is nothing but an optical illusion. And it seems like that's exactly what's going on here. The road leading up the hill slopes differently in places, making it seem like the first part goes down and the second part goes up. But actually, both parts are downhill. Our eyes can't see where the horizon is, so it tricks us into feeling like the car is going uphill, even though in reality, it's doing the opposite. Trees on each side of the road only serve to fool our eyes further, hiding the horizon line. Magnetic Hill became famous thanks to 4 people. First, John Bruce, Jack Bailey, and Stuart Truman wrote a story about it in the St. John's Telegraph Journal, making it well known. Then, to make it even more famous, a woman named Muriel Lutz opened a canteen near the mountain in 1938. She wanted to make the site a tourist attraction. So she started adding more stuff to the area, like a gift shop, restaurants, and even a motel. With all these fun things to do, Muriel helped put Magnetic Hill on the map. Have you ever been here? The Mystery Tunnels of Cornwall. Deep beneath the serene countryside of Cornwall, England, lies a hidden world shrouded in mystery. Ancient tunnels dating back over 2,000 years. But why did people build these tunnels? And what secrets do they hold? In February 2022, Amanda Ruggeri, a writer for the BBC, was given a tour of these tunnels by archaeologist James Gossip. As a first-time visitor, Ruggeri would have never guessed that this part of the country held prehistoric secrets. The tunnel is known as Haligye Fogu. Sorry guys, I have no idea how to pronounce this one, so I'll just put it on the screen and you can tell me. It's located on Cornwall's Lizard Peninsula, and it's not somewhere any tourist would stumble upon simply by accident. James has long been fascinated with fogus, or underground tunnels, which have been found all across the Cornish countryside, but surprisingly, you won't find them anywhere else in England. The construction of fogus is an impressive feat of engineering, with deep trenches dug into the earth, lined with stone slabs. Capstones are then placed on top, creating a sturdy roof, while the space above is filled in to conceal the tunnel from view. But despite their meticulous design, the purpose of fogus remains a mystery. Some speculate that they served as hiding places, offering refuge from danger during times of conflict. Others believe they were used for storage, safeguarding valuable goods from the elements. And some have said they were even ceremonial spaces, where rituals were conducted in the dim light of flickering torches. Haligye Fogu is said to be the best preserved in the region. At its opening, its ceilings measure 6 feet high, giving someone ample room to move around. But at the end of the 28-foot passage, the tunnel narrows abruptly into another tunnel, and this is where things start to get weird. This secondary passage is 13 feet long, but only 2.5 feet tall. So anyone moving through this space would have to crawl along the floor on their stomach. There is another passage that juts off to the left of the initial tunnel. This one is 89 feet in length, making it 3 times larger than the first chamber. To put it into perspective, it's about the length of 2 double-decker buses laid out in a line. This tunnel is very dark and would give anyone exploring it alone a sense of unease. But according to Ruggeri, the creepiest space in the tunnel was the final chamber, tucked to the left towards the end of the passage. Ruggeri said the entrance to it was so awkward and narrow that she had to put down her camera in order to climb through it. The narrow passages and low ceilings make it clear that these tunnels were not exactly designed for comfort, but their advanced construction suggests a level of sophistication and purpose. Despite centuries of study and speculation, archaeologists like James are still searching for answers. What could have happened within these underground tunnels? And what other secrets do they hold that may never see the light of day? Let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know if you've been here. The Blue Hole. Off the southeast coast of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, there is an underwater sinkhole called the Tamja Blue Hole, or the TJBH. It's super deep, like really deep. In fact, it is so deep that researchers haven't even hit the bottom yet. Recent measurements show that TJBH extends down at least 1,380 feet below sea level. That's deeper than any other underwater sinkhole known to humanity. It's 480 feet deeper than scientists initially documented when they first discovered the blue hole in 2021. It's deeper than the previous record holder, the Sancha Yongle Blue Hole, also known as the Dragon Hole, at 990 feet deep in the South China Sea. During a scuba diving expedition in December 2023, researchers used a fancy device called a CTD profiler to take measurements. This gadget tells them stuff like the temperature, depth, and salinity of the water. And what they found was mind-blowing. The TJBH is the deepest blue hole ever discovered. But here's where it really gets interesting. Profilers showed that there are different layers of water inside the blue hole, and some of these layers have conditions similar to the nearby Caribbean Sea. This suggests that the TJBH might be connected to the ocean through hidden tunnels and caves. Imagine exploring that underwater maze. A blue hole is like a giant underwater cave. These things form when water eats away at rocks, creating a big hole in the ground. There are famous blue holes all over the world, like Dean's Blue Hole in the Bahamas and the Great Blue Hole in Belize. Despite all the high-tech gadgets and scientific expeditions, we still don't know exactly how deep the Tamja blue hole really is. The instruments they've used so far can't reach the bottom, but that's not stopping scientists from trying. They are determined to figure out just how deep it goes, and whether it's part of a huge underwater cave system. Who knows what secrets lie at the bottom? It's like something straight out of an adventure movie. Would you ever volunteer to explore one of these underwater sinkholes? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already.
Be sure to stay tuned for extra content you might have missed.
Alien invasion. A tiny creature was just discovered in Russia that has experts completely baffled. At first glance, it looks like an alien, like the corpse of an extraterrestrial that was ejected from its flaming ship as it crash landed. The weird organism is very small, only about an inch long, and was found in the town of Sosnovyy Bor by a local woman who went swimming in the river. According to the local television news report, the woman, named Tamara, thought she had found a mutant chicken embryo. The creature has an elongated skull, it's strangely shrunken and misshapen, and has taloned limbs. The creature was so bizarre that not even local scientists could identify it. Biologist Yegor Zadarev from the Krasnoyarsk Institute of Biophysics said it definitely wasn't a type of fish or a bird. The skull was unlike anything experts had ever seen, and it didn't appear to have wings or even really a neck. This strange little monster was taken away for analysis, and that was the last we ever saw of it. Nobody knows if it was taken to a secret underground bunker or a government laboratory. All we know is that a woman found some kind of tiny alien in the river, and it was taken away to be studied. What do you think it was? Let us know in the comments below. The Roman giant. The first ever skeleton with gigantism was discovered buried in Rome. The giant skeleton was found in 1991 during the excavation of an ancient Roman cemetery. He lived in the 3rd century AD, during a time when most average men were under 6 feet tall. And yet this man was 6 feet 8 inches and would have towered over every other Roman citizen as a frightening giant. Researchers say he likely suffered from gigantism, an extremely rare condition that affects only 3 out of 1 million people worldwide. It's caused by the pituitary gland forcing a person to grow abnormally large. There have been 2 other giant skeletons found, one in Poland and one in Egypt, and researchers suspect they had gigantism as well. However, study leader Simona Minozzi from the University of Pisa says the Roman specimen is the only clear case of gigantism. The team from the university investigated these skeletal remains and found skull damage consistent with a pituitary tumor. This could have been what caused an overproduction of growth hormones. They also found disproportionately long limbs and evidence that the bones were still growing even into adulthood. The person most likely died between the ages of 16 and 20, likely from cardiovascular disease and respiratory issues. While some scientists say the giant Roman was nothing but a medical anomaly, others say he is evidence of an extinct species of massive human, real giants who lived 2,000 years ago. Marcahuasi. Marcahuasi is a mysterious plateau high in the Andes Mountains, near the bank of the Rimac River. The mountains here rise 13,000 feet above sea level, and the whole place is an enigma. Marcahuasi was first investigated during the 1950s by local experts, who found hundreds of bizarre shapes carved into the rocks. Some experts say the shapes are natural formations caused by erosion, while others believe the rocks were shaped by human hands. Some call Marcahuasi a stone forest because of all the towering geological formations. Granite rocks found here resemble human faces, distinctive religious symbols, and some look like animals. The region is also dotted with ancient tombs, mysterious ruins, and over 50 pre-Columbian structures that have been reduced to piles of rubble. Almost everything here remains a mystery. Some claim the plateau is rich in healing energy, while others say it's a meeting place between humans and extraterrestrials. To make things even stranger, Some of the crumbling ruins appear to have doorways that are only about 3 feet tall, suggesting they were occupied by tiny, unknown beings. It's never been confirmed, but there are a lot of people who think Marcahuasi was a high-altitude village of minuscule creatures no taller than 2.5 feet. It could have been a type of primitive human, but it could have also been an entirely unknown species, possibly extraterrestrial. The missing foot. A missing foot in Indonesia may just be flipping everything we know about human history on its head. There is a huge cave in Borneo and the remote Indonesian jungle that was occupied by humans 31,000 years ago. The cave is massive, with a large main cavern about the size of a cathedral. And it was in this cathedral-like cavern that a team of scientists spent 11 days excavating a skeleton that was carefully buried. But there was one piece that was mysteriously missing: the left foot. It wasn't until the researchers inspected the nub at the bottom of the left leg that they realized what had happened. The foot had been amputated. Researchers found bone growth over a clean cut on the lower leg, suggesting a successful amputation. The reason the discovery is so crazy and could change history is that it's the earliest amputation ever found, 20,000 years earlier than any other. Researchers learned the skeleton belonged to a child, likely 9 or 10 years old, when they had their foot amputated. But they lived for another decade, until they were almost 20. Tim Maloney from Griffith University in Queensland, Australia, says the discovery essentially rewrites the known history of human medicine. Humans were believed to have been nomadic hunters and gatherers until about 10,000 years ago. But 31,000 years ago in Indonesia, they were already practicing advanced surgical techniques. When would they have had the time to learn how to perform surgeries if they were busy hunting and gathering? It's almost as if humans had a sophisticated medical knowledge and the skills to match long before the Neolithic farming transition. But where did they learn these skills, and how did they develop the tools to successfully cut someone's limb off? That was almost always a death sentence due to infection and trauma. So this surgery remains a mystery. Ancient nanostructures. In 1991, some extremely strange artifacts were found in Russia, deep in the Ural Mountains. The artifacts were small, shaped like coils, and almost looked like small pieces of machinery. These strange artifacts were made about 300,000 years ago and appear to be evidence of a culture capable of creating nanotechnology. The objects were first found by workers searching for gold in the mountains. They uncovered coils, spirals, shafts, and other tiny components that appear to have once been part of a machine. The artifacts were clearly manufactured, with the biggest being 1.18 inches. The only thing they really resemble are miniature components found in the most advanced pieces of nanotech around today. Some of the objects are made from copper, but others are made from tungsten and other materials. Everything about this discovery is confusing. Some experts have suggested these small objects were scattered across the mountains during test rockets launched from a Russian space station. However, that most likely isn't the case. The components are far too old. They were found under the surface between 10 and 40 feet, in layers of geological stratus upwards of 318,000 years old. To this day, nobody knows how the artifacts were made or where they came from. Ancient Origins reports that some believe that the coils prove the human race enjoyed a sophisticated level of technology in the Pleistocene era, while others say that the findings are the work of extraterrestrials. What happened to Neanderthals? For 350,000 years, Neanderthals were the dominant humanoid species throughout Europe and Asia. They dominated the landscape up until about 40,000 years ago, when Homo sapiens came out of Africa and started spreading throughout the rest of the world. This is unlikely to be a coincidence. The evolution of modern humans almost immediately caused the destruction of the Neanderthals. What scientists have been trying to figure out for decades is why this happened. Now it looks like ancient weapons discovered in old caves in Europe could hold the answers to questions we've been asking for decades. These new discoveries could change the way we see the history of prehistoric people. During the reign of the Neanderthals, there were a few other hominid species around as well. There were Denisovans in Asia and Homo floresiensis in Indonesia. But we know more about Neanderthals because they were the most prevalent. For example, many human populations alive today have up to 3% Neanderthal DNA. Some speculate Homo sapiens bred so much with Neanderthals that we basically morphed into one species. Others speculate our enhanced aggression led us to violently eradicate the entire Neanderthal species. Scientists from the University of Bologna in Italy recently analyzed weapons used by Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. They specifically examined a period of roughly 3,000 years when these two populations likely coexisted. What they found particularly interesting was that Homo sapiens in Italy had a very specific type of technology they used. They had something the Neanderthals did not: the arrow. It's very possible that Homo sapiens developed projectile weapons way ahead of Neanderthals, and they used this advanced technology to kill off the competition. Sailing to America. There are so many coastal archaeological sites in North America that it would blow your mind. Professor Matthew Deloriers from the California State University has discovered 15 early sites along the west coast of America, some of them dating to over 13,000 years old. These archaeological sites were some of the first places the early coastal people lived in North America. But just how is this discovery supposed to change the world? These coastal settlements support a new and radical viewpoint of how people came to America. Up until now, archaeologists had a one-track hypothesis. They all believed there was a gap in the glaciers far to the north, and that early humans migrated from Europe and Asia into Canada across a land bridge over the Bering Strait. This was estimated to have happened roughly 16,000 years ago, and from there, the people moved down the Pacific coast all the way to Patagonia. If you think about it, that would have taken a lot of work. People would have walked all the way from the top of the world to the bottom of the world, seemingly for no other reason than to keep walking. But these coastal settlements are showing us something altogether different. It looks like humans may have sailed to North America in primitive boats, landed at random intervals up and down the coast, and then spread inland over time. The Star Child Skull. A mysterious skull that was discovered supposedly has extraterrestrial origins. Researcher Lloyd Pye obtained the skull from a couple named Ray and Melanie Young from El Paso, Texas. They claimed the mysterious skull was found in 1930, roughly 100 miles from Chihuahua, Mexico, buried underground in a mine tunnel. The skull made its way to Texas, and in February of 1999, the couple handed the skull over to Lloyd. Lloyd immediately claimed that the skull belonged to an extraterrestrial human hybrid. The weird thing about the skull was that it was supposedly found lying next to a seemingly normal human skeleton. Yet the skull was anything but human, weirdly malformed, and looking as though it belonged to a being with an extra-large head. The skull was examined and found to belong to a child roughly 5 years old. However, the interior of the Star Child skull was extraordinary. It had an interior of 1,600 cubic centimeters, significantly larger than the average adult brain. In other words, the space inside the skull was already bigger than that of an ordinary human adult skull, and the brain inside would have been tremendous. The back of the skull was also flattened, and there were no frontal sinuses. Lloyd Pye was convinced the Star Child skull offered evidence of a hybrid child born from an extraterrestrial and a human female. However, of course, that's never been confirmed. Most medical experts believe the child was totally human and suffered from congenital hydrocephalus, which causes cranial deformations. The mysterious shipwreck. In 1984, an American archaeologist claimed that he discovered a Roman shipwreck off the coast of Brazil. This shipwreck would have changed history as we know it, but in response, Brazil issued a national ban against underwater exploration. To take things even further, the archaeologist and treasure hunter Robert Marks accused the Brazilian government of sending their navy to dump a thick layer of sand onto the remains of the ship. They did this to hide the potentially world-changing discovery. The diver was banned from entering the country, and nobody was allowed to go snooping around for underwater treasure. But why would Brazil do this? It's because if Marx truly had discovered a Roman ship from 1700 years ago, it would have shifted the accepted history of Brazil. According to politicians, the Brazilian church, and everyone in charge, Brazil was discovered by Portuguese explorer Pedro Álvares Cabral in 1500. If Brazil was instead found by the Romans much earlier, it would be a big blow to nationalism. I don't know if all of this is true, but you know. In the end, the ship was never fully uncovered, and Brazil denied any involvement in a cover-up. We still don't know if the Portuguese discovered Brazil first, or if it was the Romans. Mystery ancestor. Have you done a DNA test? Well, it turns out that you may be carrying around some mysterious DNA left behind by a very obscure ancestor. New research has identified genes in our DNA left behind by an ancient hominin species. According to Life Science, this ancestor could be Homo erectus, but no one knows for sure. It could be anything. Researchers say that the genome of that extinct lost species has never been sequenced. So, what was happening with our ancient human ancestors? Interbreeding among all the human species was going on for thousands of years, creating a complex web in our history. Biologists looked at a bunch of different factors and investigated the biological makeup of Neanderthals, Denisovans, modern humans, and modern-day Africans. The reason Africans were specifically chosen is because modern people in Africa don't have Neanderthal genes from the period of interbreeding about 50,000 years ago. When modern humans left Africa, they interbred with Neanderthals in Europe, but the humans who stayed in Africa never did, and so they didn't get the mixed Neanderthal DNA. What scientists discovered from this study is that there was some kind of mating event prior to humans leaving Africa and breeding with Neanderthals. There's an unknown ancestor, someone who nested their DNA into our own roughly 1 million years ago. However, scientists have no clue who this ancestor was. They don't know if it was Homo erectus or some other life form, but something is there in our DNA that is still a mystery. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and come back soon. Bye!